Welcome to Math with Professor V. Here's your latest integral of the day. We have an indefinite integral of 1 plus sine x over 1 plus cosine x dx. If you want to pause the video and try it on your own, I'm going to give you one baby little hint. You don't need to use any fancy integration techniques. So no u sub, no by parts, none of that. You're just going to play around with the integrand, okay? So what do I mean play around with the integrand? We're going to rewrite it and use some trigonometric identities so that we can evaluate the integral more easily. And a common thing that you do with trig functions, especially when you have a fraction like this, is you'll multiply by the conjugate. But you have to decide, do I want to multiply by the conjugate of the numerator or the conjugate of the denominator? Well, in this case, since I'm trying to integrate, I'm going to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. And I'm kind of thinking ahead, and I know if I multiply 1 plus cosine x by 1 minus cosine x, then it becomes 1 minus cosine squared x, which is sine squared x. And if I have sine squared x instead in the denominator, which is just one term, then I am allowed to split up the numerator over the denominator. So remember, if you have like x plus y plus z all over a, you can totally rewrite that as x over a plus y over a plus z over a. If it's the other way around, if you have a over x plus y plus z, you're stuck. Don't you dare try to split up. That would be so illegal. The math police would be here in a hurry, coming to snatch you up, okay? So don't do that. Okay, I just wanted to motivate why we're going to multiply by conjugate of the denominator. So now let's continue the problem. So we're going to have 1 plus cosine x in the bottom, 1 minus cosine x we're adding, and then remember, whatever we do in the denominator, I have to do in the numerator also. You can't just go like willy-nilly multiplying by 1 minus cosine x and think all will be well. No, it will not. Okay, so now let's multiply out everything. I already know the denominator is going to be 1 minus cosine squared x, which becomes sine squared x. So if you want to jump to that, why not? We already wrote that all out. That's sine squared x. And then you're just going to have yourself a little foiling party up here in the numerator, okay? So the first two terms are going to be 1 minus cosine x plus sine x minus sine x cosine x. And don't forget your dx. Very good. Now we can do what I was saying here, right? We're going to split each of the terms in the numerator over the denominator. So this is going to be integral 1 over sine squared x minus cosine x over sine squared x plus sine x over sine squared x minus sine x cosine x over sine squared x dx. How are we doing? Okay, now let's go through. We're going to simplify each of the four terms that we have and simplify them to a point where we can easily integrate each one, okay? So 1 over sine squared x, we know that's cosecant squared x. Do I know the antiderivative of cosecant squared x? Yeah, we should. We certainly should. Minus, now what about cosine x over sine squared x? You have two options. Are you ready for your options? Option 1, you could do a u sub. You could let u equal sine x, and then du would be cosine x dx. And you would have to do that separately, right? You'd have to break off this guy off to the side and do a separate little baby integral because you're not u subbing for the rest of the terms. But I did tell you in the beginning of this video that you wouldn't need to do any u sub or anything. So there's a way out of it. And it's pretty slick. I showed it in a recent integral of the day also. Cosine x over sine squared x. Off to the side here, let me play around with that. I can write it as cosine x over sine x times 1 over sine x. Isn't that true? And then cosine x over sine x, that's cotangent x. 1 over sine x, that's cosecant x. And oh, that's fabulous because I do know the antiderivative of cotangent x cosecant x. Do you? If you didn't, then maybe you wouldn't know that this is like a happy place to rewrite that term. So that's why it's so important that, you do memorize the basic differentiation and integration rules. That way you can work through problems fluidly, right? If you have to keep stopping and checking formulas, you're never going to get in a good groove and you won't know how to rewrite expressions. So that's my little statement right there. Next term, sine x over sine squared x. Well, I can cancel out one of the sine x's, and then 1 over sine x is cosecant x. Ooh, do we know the antiderivative of cosecant x? We should. The way to derive it is not very intuitive, so that's one that I recommend memorizing. And then lastly, over here, this sine x also cancels with 1 sine x in the bottom. So the last term is minus cotangent x. Again, yep, that's one you should just memorize. If you didn't, the way we come up with it, because you have cosine x over sine x, you let u be sine x, du is cosine x dx, then you have 1 over u, hence you'll see there's going to be a natural log in the antiderivative. Okay, so here's where we should be. And then if you have everything memorized appropriately, you can just go bam, 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 term by term. If you don't have everything memorized, you're going to break off and do a few little u subs off to the side. So here we go. Antiderivative of cosecant squared x, negative cotangent x. Very good. Antiderivative of cotangent x cosecant x. It's negative cosecant x. But observe, I already have a minus sign, so that's going to become positive cosecant x. Antiderivative of cosecant x. You have two options. I'm going to use plus natural log absolute value cosecant x minus cotangent x. There's another version we'll discuss in a minute. Last term, antiderivative of cotangent x, it's natural log absolute value sine x. Sine stays the same. Natural log absolute value sine x, and then don't forget plus c. Good? That's it. That's the grand finale. So I wanted to do this problem because I thought it was important to recognize, what sort of manipulations are useful, what aren't, what's allowed, how you're allowed to rewrite the integrand. And also I feel like, we do so much calculus with tangents and secants, but cosecant and cotangent just don't get as much love and attention. I thought it was time they had their moment. And then the other thing that's important is that you realize, just as a note, the antiderivative of cosecant x dx has multiple forms. I'm just going to show you the two most popular. You could use negative natural log absolute value cosecant x plus cotangent x plus c, or what I had up above, natural log absolute value cosecant x minus cotangent x plus c. And I'll leave it to you as an exercise to verify that they are equivalent. And there's a few other versions, but they're not as popular. So just decide which one you want to use, or just, learn both. That way you don't embarrass yourself trying to think that something might be wrong when it's not. Okay? I hope you liked this integral of the day. Give the video a thumbs up if it was helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you need to review any of the topics that I mentioned in this video, integration techniques, even TRIG, I have full video lectures covering every section from TRIG, pre-calc, calc 1, 2, 3, you name it. And I'm also partway through differential equations and linear algebra videos for my channel members. So make sure that you hit that like button. Give me a follow on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Although Twitter's called X now, right? But I feel like everyone still calls it Twitter, don't they? Math with Professor V. Find me there. We can have lots of fun. I'll be back sooner than later. Love you guys. Bye.